Which pair of atoms would form a polar covalent but essentially nonpolar bond? A. Nitrogen and nitrogen. B. Hydrogen and carbon. C. Sodium and chlorine. Or D. Beryllium and iodine. Polar covalent bonding refers to unequal sharing of electrons, so we can rule out choice A right away. There's no reason for electrons to prefer one nitrogen atom over another nitrogen atom. The bond between two nitrogen atoms is pure covalent. To determine which of the other choices is correct, we need to look up electronegativities. The nature of the bond between two atoms depends on the difference in their electronegativities. If the difference is 0, as in choice A, we have a pure covalent bond. If the difference is less than 0.5, the bond is, strictly speaking, polar covalent, but is considered to be essentially nonpolar. If the difference is between 0.5 and 2.0, the bond is considered polar. And if the difference is larger than 2.0, the bond is considered ionic. By ionic, we mean that the electron has essentially transferred over to the more electronegative atom. If we look up electronegativity values, we find that the electronegativities are 2.2 for hydrogen and 2.5 for carbon. That's a difference of 0.3. Therefore, a carbon to hydrogen bond is nonpolar. The correct answer is B. Let's look at the other choices. Sodium and chlorine have electronegativity values of 0.9 and 3.2 respectively. That's a difference of 2.3. The bond between sodium and chlorine is ionic. Sodium and chlorine will not be sharing electrons. As for beryllium and iodine, the difference is 1.1. This makes the beryllium to iodine bond a polar bond. You might find this disconcerting. Beryllium is a metal and iodine is a nonmetal, and you may have previously learned that a bond between a metal and a nonmetal is ionic. That rule is what we call a rule of thumb. It doesn't always work. This is typical in chemistry. Whenever we classify things, there are always some gray areas. So how should you deal with these gray areas on a test? If you're not given access to electronegativity values on a test, your best bet is to say that a bond between beryllium and iodine is ionic, unless of course your teacher expects you to be very familiar with the gray areas.